Asian man, baby.
I'm keeping, from this point on, I'm keeping everything as a personal collection of blackmail, even against myself.
There's so much blackmail on everything.
Yeah, that transmission, Paul?
Yeah.
I didn't catch it on the recording. Did you catch much of what he was saying?
He was talking about tensions between America and Russia during an arms race. So I guess we're doing Cold War II Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on standby. Oh.
Well, I've got it rolling, so we're here to go.
Oh boy, let's fucking go!
What the hell?
Wait, you have to click on it.
Okay, play now.
Oh.
Oh, come on! I'm so sick and tired of this.
Did it give you guys like a minute and a half?
Another countdown.
A minute and 34
Yeah,
seconds?
another countdown. They really did just link us to another countdown.
So it took us to a countdown for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm seeing it too.
Countdown was already at like a minute and a half.
Is Ardent recording now?
I'm testing it right now.
You got a minute.
Dude, shut up.
I can have a good reminder, Josh. I can have it to where our cameras just phase into screen. So we can get that first part. It doesn't matter. But catching the stream, it's like I'm trying to get into a frame of mind to where I don't need to be all official and formal and announce every damn thing. We just start it and we go. Like that's because I need to eventually gain the cojones to actually start streaming. I think that would be really fun. I could just
okay, so it works.
Games.
I'll be set. So it'll have all of our things up, and I'll have the Battlefield stream in the corner.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'll just put my mic away so when I talk, it's not as loud. So I'll just start recording now.
Okay. I can use that
Wow,
too.
276,276 people watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna
Good
click
job,
out.
YouTube.
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of people were very salty about the countdowns. Here we go. I guess we should turn it
Shouldn't
up.
have split the stream. They lost a lot of people who aren't aware.
Yeah, I know. That was a little weird.
Oh shit! The trailer's up.
Yep.
Playing now.
I've got my volume up. That's an Osprey.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy.
Oh, those flares did no.
Oh no.
Oh shit! Is that Davman from BF3?
Is that who it is?
Is no the map.
What it is?
Oh.
Ooh, wingsuits.
It's Batman.
Oh, come on, wingsuits? Let's fucking... Jesus Christ, this is gonna go insane.
What? Drone dog.
Oh god.
Oh, those things are beautiful.
It's like next generation Abrams, Paul.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Oh, those suits are clean.
Yeah. It's pretty much what it seemed like most of us were thinking. Postmodern.
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was a Kalash.
God damn it, my shoes just lagged out.
Whoa.
Holy crap.
It's like Operation Locker.
Jesus.
What in nation? Oh hell yeah! Those are
This is sick looking.
Yeah.
Oh shit! This is definitely 2040.
Did we just bring some 80s rock into the trailer? I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
What the fuck is happening in
Did that
this
say
trailer?
NASA?
Dude, this is definitely gotta be like a prelude to like the 2142 games.
Wow.
Yo.
Oh, that is gorgeous. That's like Dawnbreaker, but better looking. Wow, those coppers are sick.
That's an alligator, Paul.
Hang on, I'm behind a bit.
You're good.
Ooh, KA-50s? That's nice.
Oh, you're about to get shredded.
Oh
That's
shit.
scary.
Oh, you're gonna drive an ATV off the fucking building. Yeah,
Oh,
that's alright.
that fucking move with the helicopters, I've done that in Battlefield. Baiting them into crashing into each other.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Well, fans of 4 are gonna be happy.
Oh, yeah.
I am very happy.
Yeah.
Oh my
Holy
What?
shit.
This is literally
What?
this is a Battlefield fan service trailer. This is what it is.
How did you get back in?
You kidding?
No way. That'll happen in the game.
3D animate a Retazook.
Yes.
They really did that?
Yep.
Oh my god. Let me see it, damn it. God damn my internet.
What is that?
Wait, what? Weather events?
Weather events.
Oh my god.
Oh, he looks sick.
Yeah, dude. This thing can't go any faster.
This is Hong Kong, isn't it? No, that's Korea.
Oh my god.
Oh god. No.
Did you
He's gonna
see
pull
the
out a
thing
rocket
on
launcher
the...
and...
Why walk when you can fly?
Really, dude?
It's just so much.
There's so much happening at 2042. I knew it.
No.
Nice.
I knew it.
Oh, come on. Another countdown? No. I wanna see more.
On Sunday. Oh.
Wow. That was
What
a
day
lot.
did they
sick.
was?
Oh my gosh.
That was sick though.
That was a
like
lot at once.
it's like it's like they were making it in the same way they made Battlefield 5's trailer, except not bad.
Yeah.
It was weird, but it was not bad. That was literally just them throwing in a bunch of like fucking BF4 moves.
What day did they say the gameplay reveal trailer was?
13.
13.
Why is everything on the 13th? Everything is on the 13th. No.
It's alright. It's not like the elevator going to floor 13. We'll be alright.
We're gonna be too busy playing Halo Infinite.
I'll be too busy stuck in Texas.
Stuck in
I
Texas.
won't, because I'll still be downloading Halo Infinite.
I mean, to be fair, you'll probably still be downloading the Halo Infinite beta by the time the game actually comes out. So
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with the beta.
I don't know,
I
man.
know better.
Starlink's looking pretty tight. People are pretty happy.
Yeah, but it's not here yet!
Sorry. I don't know what to say. Like, what do you want me to do? It's not like I can help you launch an operation to take your service provider hostage. Their best service is awful, and they charge so much.
Yeah, their best service is what I pay for, and I don't even get it.
God. No, they shouldn't be able to charge that much. I don't care if it's like the only service. That's a monopoly. Like, you can't do that. So, that was a lot at once. It felt like no matter what conflict was going on in the trailer, that everybody exploded.
Everybody
Yeah,
fucking
hell
died.
yeah.
There was no side dominating the other.
No, like what won at the end was Mother Nature. Wonder if that was like. My mind goes to these stupid science fiction like thoughts. Like, was there a weapon that somehow manipulated the twister in the middle of the city, or was there?
I bet you that's
Probably.
I bet you that's what it is.
That would be devastating. Like, could you imagine actually harnessing something like that? Like, oh no, we're outnumbered 10-1 by infantry. All right, just drop a tornado on them. Like, what? Oh, you didn't know about that? Yeah, that's our newest weapon. Who are you? What? You've been watching too many 90s action flicks. This is weird. Oh.
I thought somebody had told me yesterday that they were just calling it Battlefield, and I was so upset. But now I am so glad that they're not doing that.
No,
That would have been
yeah.
awful.
They're doing it wisely. They're putting it enough in the future to where a lot of stuff is still familiar. You can tell right, Paul, that a lot of these military elements are reminiscent, if not just updated versions of what was dominant before. From the weapons to some of the armor to like... And I mean, and a lot of it isn't totally unrealistic. I mean, jump jetting out of the jet to rocket the other one.
That's just a staple of Battlefield.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with realism or time frames. That's just something that somebody managed to figure out in Battlefield 3, and now they just can't get rid of it.
That's the thing about Battlefield is, like, a lot of people argue, it's like, I don't know why people like it so much, it's not realistic. Battlefield's not fun because it's realistic. It's fun because, you know, for a lot of different games, like 1 and 5, like, it was fun enough for the varying reasons for history buffs, but it was also fun because... I mean, if you want realistic...
It was a Battlefield game.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the Frostbite engine. I mean, that's all you really have to say when it comes to DICE and, dare I say it, EA. But the Frostbite engine's satisfying, and they always find ways to make the game, even in multiplayer, even when you're losing, satisfying. I mean, even when you shoot somebody and you get that like, in 1, for example, when you would get a successful kill, it was almost akin to chains dropping. There was something really satisfying to the sound you would get when you would get a kill. You
remember in BF3 when you would start winning a match, and the more you got closer to the end, the more the Battlefield theme would start playing.
Yeah. Oh,
I missed that so much. I loved
it.
What's up,
guys?
Josh? What's up?
What's up?
It's 128 player matches.
No.
What? Oh my god.
All right.
That means 120 players wingsuiting through tornadoes.
It's a rave party in the middle of...
I say they got the humor right on that trailer.
Oh yeah, no, it was funny. I mean, it's why walk when you can fly, and they got the little 3-wheeler public transport being thrown around by a tornado.
I cannot believe they literally threw in like stupid player shit from BF4 into that trailer, like jumping out of a jet, blowing another one up with a swan, and jumping back in. What the fuck?
Oh, I know. You know what I really liked too? I liked that when they started it. I'm actually going back to it now for the point of reference. I like that when they started it, they gave us something fairly familiar. Most people that have played a Battlefield game or have played games with, you know, actual military technology in them know what an Osprey is. If you at least go, hey, that plane that's also a helicopter, someone's going to know kind of what you're talking about. So,
if you remember BF3, that map looks a lot like the Emma Van Peek.
Yes, it does. And
there's the satellite at the top, the cliff.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks very familiar.
No, it looks really good. I'm really happy with what I've seen in the trailer, and obviously, I'm still taking it with a grain of salt because right now they're just kind of showing off like a heightened version of their engine on a PC that can handle it, you know. And of course, it's a scripted trailer.
I cannot believe we're getting a fucking dog with a machine gun head.
Oh, I know. See, and let's go back to that even. Did you see the armor? Like
the armor that looks sick.
The drone
Those
dog.
Tanks.
Let's talk about that. The drone dog first of all. I haven't. Go ahead.
It looks like practical enough for me. Like that's totally something that would happen, but it looks futuristic enough for it to be believable in 2042 as well. So I like that they kind of made sure of that.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw something that looked similar to this was from, dare I say, Infinite Warfare. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare with a lot of the machines and the robotic soldiers, and which I still thought were cool. I still have yet to play Infinite Warfare's campaign, but I even saw Harustas talk about it, and he said it was actually really good. It was a really good campaign. A lot of people that are big fans of Halo liked that campaign. They were talking
when they say that it was basically the Insurrectionist Wars as a game, that's basically what it was.
So
really good.
I got some details about the game from the PlayStation blog that they gave. So there are 7 maps. Apparently, one map is as big as 3 Battlefield 5 maps. Maps have dynamic events. They say here that the stateless soldiers, no-pat specialists, now fight on behalf of the remaining superpowers. The setup is close enough today to be recognizable, but far enough in the future to include advanced arsenals and destructive weather patterns. There are 3 gameplay pillars. Experience is to 2042. Only 2 have been named. Of that pair, only All-Out Warfare is the focus of this first look, debuting with a duo of familiar modes. Hazard Zone, as well as the mystery third pillar in development at DICE LA, will get their full reveal at a later date. DICE reinforced Hazard Zone as something new for the franchise, a modern take on multiplayer that's a, quote, high-stakes, squad-based game type. They're also ditching classes.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Classes are
Teaching
gone.
Classes?
Okay.
That'll be an
That's
interesting way.
interesting.
So that means there's a chance for a lot more customization and role playing in the game.
Yes. Arden, exactly. Yeah, no, and honestly, I didn't dislike classes, but like in 1 and 5, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to do. Maybe I wanted to be an assault but have an MP40. Maybe I wanted to be a medic, but I wanted to just have a bolt action, like a specific, like a Gewehr 98 or something. There were certain things that wouldn't make me overpowered, but would probably have fit my playstyle because I'm more of a guerrilla warfare type player when it comes to these games. That's why my score is never like 64 and 10. It's usually like 30 and 1. It's not because I'm good. It's just because I'm good at not being in harm's way.
So I'm guessing they're more or less taking away role restrictions. So now if you wanted to run around with a 249 saw,
they say here they call them specialists. So they say specialists are Battlefield 2042's different character types. Each comes with a unique specialty and trait. The former may take the shape of a grappling hook for assault types only, a quick zip to higher spots, OVP recon drone, the mark of the recon, which can be piloted or parked to pinpoint targets, or the S21 Siret pistol handled by support, firing health vials at those who need them. So it sounds like what they've done is like, because they're still saying assault and support, classes are like kind of still a little bit of a thing, like in name, but they're removing restrictions and they're, I guess, kind of putting them more into like a different niche rather than it being like a straight up class system.
So basically, it's more or less they're keeping roles as a foundation and a base, but they're opening up to less restrictions, more customization.
Yeah, they're offering 10 specialists at launch. So I think what they've done is they've opened things up, basically. There's no more classes, and now instead we've got specialists, which will probably be like in Halo 4 when you had different like loadout abilities and stuff. Yeah, so you can get different.
It sounds like a hero shooter, kind of. Basically.
Dude, the plus system lets you customize your selected weapon without taking your eyes off the battlefield. A button tap will bring up a plus-shaped UI menu over your weapon, showing what you currently own. Each segment is tied to a specific item type, scopes, barrels, ammo type, etc. So you can customize your gun literally while you're playing.
So that's like Arma and Target.
Ooh, that's cool.
Okay, exactly. So we're finally getting in-game like weapon customization.
This is all over the place.
It's like Paul said. It's like Arma and Tarkov, which is
you just customize your gun while you're playing. Like holy shit.
Yeah, because Paul here is like our milsim aficionado of the group, and that probably leaves a decent taste in your mouth in regards if it's what we're thinking, right? Like that's something that I would like to see. See, I've liked just about every Battlefield game that's come out for a different reason. The only one that I was ever somewhat disappointed with was Hardline.
Yeah.
And how was that going to work? Because you know why I was excited for Hardline? Because I used to be a cop, and I was really excited to be a cop. And I was excited to arrest people or be brutal because, you know, like that. I don't know.
It's a Battlefield game.
Yeah, and it's like what? It was gonna have like 500 cops versus 500 thugs with AK-47. Like that, for me, just
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. I was like, why?
You know, Battlefield Hardline would have worked so much better if it was just renamed like Payday and then just made like an open gameplay to Payday.
It's like the first few missions.
Payday Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did you guys play through the Hardline campaign, Battlefield Hardline?
I played a little bit.
I know more or less what happens in it.
I played all of it. It was pretty underwhelming for me personally. A lot of people do like it. The multiplayer was really boring because it left me wanting. Like I really wanted to be in a Humvee or an ATV or a Little Bird. You know what I mean? And instead, I was driving like a sports car and I was being chased by a cruiser, a police interceptor. Like, this is stupid. Like, I could have done this in GTA. So I like that they tried.
Hope you're doing well.
And
you're here.
Oh, someone else's live stream came up on my play. I'm just going to keep looping this trailer, to be honest with you.
Do it.
In the background, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know how you guys feel about this, but it's multiplayer only. They've ditched single player.
That's fine. That doesn't affect my experience.
That is
We expected it.
No, I don't think anyone played Battlefield's campaigns.
I did.
Except for 1 and 5.
I did.
I did.
I played 4
I
and
enjoyed
3.
the Battlefield campaign.
I loved War Stories. I wish they were longer. But you're right.
I liked Battlefield 3's. Battlefield 4's was pretty forgettable.
The further back
ones
you
and 5's
go, yeah, I think the further back you go, the more recognizable or the more memorable a lot of the campaigns were. Like Battlefield 1.
Yeah, there's Bad Company.
Yeah.
But like
yes.
anything else other than, it's 1, 5, and Bad Company, and that's it. Everything else was just kind of there to be there.
Yeah, so it's really not like... If I see people like really upset, the fact that they would have expected it to have a campaign is a little silly because we were given no reason to expect a campaign. So,
I think the amount of people that would be upset about the no being able campaign would be a very small minority, because you ask a lot of people and they're like, yeah, I don't play Battlefield for the campaign.
Most people play Battlefield for the large amount of weapons and vehicles and infantry on the map.
You play it for the stupid shit you see in just on this trailer.
It's fun, and honestly, the Frostbite engine, everything about that is very satisfying when you get a kill. Do you guys remember in 4 when someone would try to knife you and you could reverse it and stab them?
Oh yeah, that was
the
great.
only person that misses that? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure most people miss that. I really missed that in 1, dude. I was like, oh, okay. You just pick up a flamethrower troop kit, and you're like, I'm like 10 feet away from a trench full of people, and I am about to have some hamburger. Like, and then some dude bayonet charges you and I'm like, no. I was like,
I'm telling you, guys, I'm so excited to drive around a 3-wheeler with you guys.
oh, dude, I can't wait till we're all in the same transport.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god, we're gonna get sucked by a tornado.
We're all going to be in the same transport singing she shanties into battle with a helicopter. So that I still got the stream going just to have it in the background so it's not kind of boring or whatever for people that do watch. But it's like what I really like seeing. There was a game I used to play, and I haven't told any of you about this, I don't think. It was a military simulator. It was a Russian military simulator game called... It was like A2 or A something Alligator. And it was a really hard military simulator where you play in basically a group, a squadron, etc., or whatever, of Russian military helicopters. And you see them in this trailer. It's the double propeller helicopters that are fighting with that little bird ball.
KA-50s.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they are pretty amazing pieces of machinery. Like
They
They really are.
You don't see KA-50s very much in modern media. I think
No, you don't.
I think the last time I actually saw something remotely like them in video games was... You guys ever heard of that game, Frontlines Fuel of War?
I loved it.
I love Fuels of War, so it's basically the last time you saw something similar to the KA-50.
Yeah. Actually, that's good, Art. I'm glad you brought that up. So, Frontlines Fuel of War also had a good soundtrack.
Yes. Oh.
You guys remember
Yes.
Closer to Home, I think was the name of the main track that was really highlighted by that game. I don't know if you guys played it, but that game, I felt like that game could have been more. Because the battles, they were big-ish, but you would go to one area to another area, from one environment, one part of the level to the next, at least in the campaign. And there would be NPCs, but there was never enough on screen at once to really create that big battle sense. It was always like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like Battlefield's lacking cousin, as if like it could have been a spiritual successor to Battlefield 2.
Yes.
But it never really took off. But people who did play it, like it was a good game. It was fun, but it wasn't Battlefield.
Oh man, that looks so good.
Dude, that has to be like
Dude,
Dubai,
looks so nice.
right? That has to be Dubai, right? Because
Dubai,
that's in the
yeah.
desert.
Actually, I think it's
I
in
gotta pull it
Qatar.
up. I have got
It
to pull it up.
is. Yeah, it's Qatar.
My
Dude.
favorite instrument.
Paul, what do you think of that artwork? That is just amazing.
What is the...
I'm.
Oh,
yes.
That is very nice.
I know the tactical guys are gonna be fucking all over it.
Oh, well, yeah, you know,
want
it's let's be real. We've had a lot of old. I loved 1. I loved Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 is my favorite Battlefield. Period. I don't think that's going to diminish the fact that we're going away from previous war theaters, that we're actually going away from modern. But I feel like this is actually the successor to 4 that everybody's been waiting for. I think
Yes.
and honestly, they've waited long enough. I think it's about time we get back to a more modern theater.
I remember BF4 had that final DLC. I think it was just called Final Assault, and I had those had like the mechs being built for from the 2140 games.
Yeah,
And it had that floating tank.
Yes.
So people are like, "There's got to be a sequel."
Yes, you're right. I remember the floating tanks. You were fighting those things with Abrams, so you had your more traditional tread on the dirt tanks fighting with these experimental hover tanks.
You had a floating minigun flying around.
It was cool.
That thing. I hated that thing.
But it wasn't so out of place that it was like game breaking, and that's what I loved about it.
You know what I'm surprised wasn't in this trailer was what they showed, because we saw somebody crashing an ATV into a helicopter, and they saw somebody jumping out of a jet with a rocket. I'm surprised they didn't show somebody with a SUAV flying around and killing everybody left and right,
running through.
Running through them.
It was a good trailer because it doesn't. I think the point of the trailer was to remind everybody of the havoc of Battlefield 4 that kind of got everybody in love with the series. And it reignited the love for the series, because I was telling Vin earlier, before we all got on here together, that the first Battlefield I played was, 1942, if I'm not mistaken? And it was on, I don't even think it was a cousin's PC. It was so long ago, but that was like an early World War II Battlefield. But the player base was big.
It was the first game.
Yeah.
42 was the first Battlefield game.
Some of the vehicles in that game were really weird, but it was a lot more historically accurate. But then there were like experimental jets in the game. And so, the series has never really been afraid to implement things that were prototypes or blueprints but never happened, and then make them a reality. Like the Hell Regal in Battlefield 1 that Josh especially probably remembers I hated. Now I'm using that thing because I'm a fucking hypocrite. And but it was like hard to get. I get it. I'm like, this is a really good gun. Imagine that. That gun never became a reality because it was too heavy and uncomfortable to use. But I like that we still get to see it become a reality in this game, and let alone in the Frostbite engine. It looks really good. So I don't know, guys. I'm pretty pumped. I'm ready. I can't wait to hop into this.
I am happy.
Yeah,
I'm very happy with. I'm very happy with this. This has me really excited, because I remember when me, Josh, and Vin watched the Battlefield 5 reveal trailer. We just right when they finished, we're just kind of sitting there, really confused at what we watched.
Yeah,
it was really odd.
Well, it threw me off because I was expecting something that was very World War II, and it was very not.
It was not World War II. Yeah, and it more or less I don't know. It had that stream right after 2, and it was just really off-putting. This one has me excited again. This has me excited because it just feels like waiting for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 all over again.
Yeah, so what's one thing that I like to bring up a lot is that it can be easy to be sad when the series has moved away from a certain theater. For example, I think what I commend DICE for the most when it comes to these series is that in every game you always have that really, really pleasing, the audio behind getting a kill, to the things that you can do, to how good the game looks no matter what you're driving or what you're doing or what weapon you're using, and how good the game looks, and the bloom effects to the sparks off of a gun's bullets hitting a metal surface. I mean, they've always had that down, even in the earliest days of Battlefield. I feel like they've always done what they could. And it's one of the few series, I think, that has never really disappointed me other than Hardline. But Hardline was kind of they tried to do something different, and that's fine. I still kind of enjoyed the campaign. It had a very cliche, good guys turn bad story. It was basically Bad Boys the shooter. So, but Battlefield 1, I think, made me fall back in love with the series. I liked 4, but I got into 4 really late. I was playing other things.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't. I wish I was on board since the beginning with 4. But, that's what's nice about this game, is it's going to kind of reignite the fan base that is more for the modern shooters. And so this is still going to, like it said, it's still going to be recognizable. It's not going to feel like, 21 something or something so futuristic. It's it almost feels alien. But even that game didn't. Like they all kind of worked, and I've played futuristic shooters and stuff, and they've worked. I mean, but I think what's great about Battlefield is that with enough time and patience, I mean, the game does become you do get proficient enough with the game, and then if you're playing like with all of us are going to play together. The difference there is that a team really does matter. One player can make a difference. Like if you're Jack Frags and the dude's a phenomenal sniper and he's really good in the game. But like me, I am very awful compared to somebody that skill base. But if I have you guys by my side, and that's why classes worked, because they could rely on each other. But with the specialist and what they're talking about, I'm sure it's still going to be a system in place to where different players with different strengths are going to be able to complement each other.
Right.
And I'm waiting for the first time one of you calls in a drone dog. Like, that's hilarious. That thing, actually, I really like the way it looks because it's based on a lot of the robotics that they're working on today. It looks a lot like what we've seen. I love that the head is an auto turret. It even looks like it has a little magazine chute on the top of it when you're looking at it.
I can see the clips now of people dropping a robo-dog on people. Or on vehicles. It's there. The trailer makes itself.
Dude, I'm also excited because you know what I really miss about 4? I mean, 4's there, you can still play it, but what people don't realize is when people say, "Oh man, I miss when Battlefield was etc." and they're like, "You can still play Battlefield 1." I miss when it was the newest.
Yeah.
That's what I miss.
Yeah. You can't get that.
That time. Yeah. So I'm glad that I played 1 when it was new, and I mostly played it on Xbox. I had so much unlocked. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is honestly more enjoyable on console than it is on PC, because I'm not saying people on console are worse, but people on console are more casual, and it's the truth. Usually. The majority of that population, it's either one, they don't have the money to spend on a PC, like we all are rocking computers, but even with that being said, in certain games, like in Battlefield, I would like to think I'm between somebody who wants to play seriously and casually, because Battlefield, I don't really ever get burnt out on the game. That's why I always go back. And I think what I'm the most excited about is that I get to be a part of the new, like we were just talking about, Paul, that new feeling. So I miss when 1 was new, because I don't care what anybody says. I love the war stories. I love when you were playing as Lawrence of Arabia, and you were playing as his friend, and you were helping the Arabian guerrilla warfighters like retake their land, and the music that was playing. I think that if they wanted to, they could have made a longer campaign, and it could have been, I mean, it would have slapped. It would have been really good if they wanted to, but that's not where their main theater of players are. So I can't be upset about it. I can be like, under the surface, I'm like, oh, that would have been cool, but I'm not mad. I think that they have to focus on what helps them, and, I've never been disappointed in a title. Sorry that was long-winded, guys. I just, I'm excited for it. Then it's new. So I guess in a closing on that end, it's like we all miss when a new Halo title came out. Like, I really, really, really get nostalgic and more happy than sad, because nostalgia's got both feelings. But I do sometimes miss when Halo 3 first came out. I don't want to sound like one of those people, but it was the time. People were
gamer
more vocal.
Boomer.
I am the gamer boomer of this group. That is true. But I would like to think that I was the pragmatic gamer boomer. I'm like the boomer that you talked about your new age ways. Like, hey, Grandpa, I like to eat pistachios, and I like to do this, and it's pretty new age. And he's like, I don't get it, but I support you, because that sounds great. Like, like these people right here in the chat with me were the ones that kind of got me to see the good in the 343 era games. And now I'm really excited to cover them. Like, I'm really excited to talk about those more, and I'm really excited about Infinite, because I feel like Infinite, you know how I'm normally cautiously optimistic, but I'm actually just excited now about it.
Especially when you think about the factor of playing with your friends.
Yeah. And again, like Paul agreed with me earlier, it's that same, it's new, it's what's happening now, and we get to be a part of it as it blossoms. And that's what I miss about every Halo title. Dare I say every older Call of Duty title, like Finest Hour, when it came out, I fell in love with that game. I mean, I loved everything about it, especially the Russian campaign. Even though it was historically inaccurate, it was still fun.
I remember when Call of Duty 3 came out. I fucking loved that game.
Yeah, dude, it was good. It was a good time. You remember when Call of Duty 2 came out on, was it the 360? But it was really graphically ahead of its time. Everybody was impressed with like the British Desert campaign, and they were like, "Good Lord, why does everything look so pretty?" I'm like, because it is.
It just is.
It's just gorgeous.
Oh wow! It came out on it came out on 360. Wow, 2005.
I gotta roll this question out for. Vin has this magical beanie on, but he's probably not talking right at this moment. I don't know if he's even in the room at the moment. It's like
I was here.
like, is it long-winded, Vin? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just in bed.
I'm still recording.
We're all in different parts of the United States, so it's like the fact that we can make this work is because we're all like I work today and I go into the office, so I love that this happened earlier. You know,
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to happen if I was on day shift, so I guess that's one positive for now. But yeah, no, I'm excited for being a part of the new again. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting that, you know, and I've missed out on a lot of that with like previous games, whether it be because of money, because I had bigger interest in another title. But it's definitely, I think, enough of a staple in our group, you know, in our circle, that we're always going to kind of return to the series and play. I don't think there are many things I loved more than like the niche features that they included because of the historical the historical inclusions at the time. So my channel is small, but for the handful that have seen it, people should know that I'm absolutely in love with cavalry in Battlefield 1. There's nothing more fun and hilarious than charging into a massive gunfight with tanks, planes, and armored trains with a horse and actually managing to do good. And but you quickly become everyone's hated enemy. And like, I'm sure there are things about other Battlefield games that you guys really loved and adored. Like specifically. So the one bad thing about having something so niche and so fun as the Warhorse in Battlefield 1 is I don't know if I'll ever get it again in a new game.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart. So I hope that they try to support Battlefield 1 for a long time. And need to be a little bit more proactive with cheaters. Because that's why I started that stupid thread. Ugh. But yeah. I don't know.
Can I assume it's safe to send in the leaked images that were leaked a while ago in here? Now that we've seen the trailer.
I mean, were they leaked from the trailer and stuff? I don't see what the problem would be. Yeah.
A lot of I think a couple days too, there was leaked gameplay images, which it's basically from the trailer, or not from the trailer, but it's stuff from the trailer we've seen.
You post them in our chat, Ardent, and I'll put them on the screen.
Yeah, I'm putting them in right here.
Okay.
4 files. The first 2 were leaked, I think, like a month ago.
Okay.
And then the last 2 were leaked maybe about a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw these on Twitter.
HUD looks complex.
A little bit. Looks very blue.
That scares me.
I'm just pulling our chat up here. I don't care. Oh wow. Yeah, so that's the rocket we saw. Now, that rocket, I don't want to sound ignorant, but since we got so many different minds in one room, I'll just admit I'm ignorant and say, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a warhead? Are we looking at an actual... Obviously...
Where's it at?
The first picture that Arden just posted.
The first picture?
Yes.
Okay.
The person... The brain in me thinks that, what if that's a rocket that has like a satellite that manipulates weather, which is what gives you that tornado in Korea?
Probably.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that'd be interesting. It
could be an ICBM.
It doesn't look like an ICBM.
No, but it could be like...
No.
See,
really ICBMs don't have external boosters.
This is why I ask these questions when I have Paul around. Because Paul's like, oh yeah, I draw these for fun in my free time. I love it, dude. That's the best part about having all these different mindsets is we're able to like kind of intertwine a web of knowledge between all of us. Like, if you talk about like Eastern European weaponry and stuff, I'm probably going to have some inclination of what you're talking about. But if it's more, Paul has a more universal knowledge. Because he loves that stuff. It's his passion. He loves that. Especially when it comes to NATO weapons. I'm like, gross. Paul's like, no, I know about it.
Yeah.
But
I really hope I'm really glad. I'm sorry, not hope, but I'm really glad that Battlefield has a HUD transparency and opacity and size meter that you could change up because these leaked images.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's something that has been needed in Battlefield.
I mean, it is in Battlefield. Isn't that the HUD transparency and size meters have always been in Battlefield, haven't they? Could have swore they were in BF4 and BF1.
Sadly, I don't know.
Yeah,
you guys
pretty sure.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, no. I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing here is are we going to be jumping out of Ospreys in a lot of multiplayer matches? Because I mean, we obviously jumped out of a lot of planes in 5. I'm sure you guys remember those maps where no matter who you were, if you played on the Allied side, if you were Axis, you had panzers, anti-tank guns, trenches, turrets, and sniper positions, and you would defend. And the Allies were flying in. Actually, it was reversed. You were the Germans, and the Luftwaffe was dropping you in off of planes. And when you landed, you had to try and capture a point and gain a foothold. So I'm wondering if we're going to see something similar to that, as I'm seeing this picture with the Ospreys that Ardent posted.
I could see maybe a cinematic opening.
It's looking good, guys. It's going to be recognizable enough. And then I'm seeing these images of someone piloting an Osprey. That sounds really fun. Can you imagine? I mean, Paul, it's going to be like piloting a LAT.
That is going to be a good time.
Yeah. Are we looking at... Go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just really happy Ospreys are in the Battlefield scene now.
Yeah, for real, because they're definitely relevant enough. I mean, they should be, I think. I'm looking at these last 2 images you posted, Ardent, and the armor here, that's probably the angle, but it looks like it's either... Because I know that Abrams is on its way out right now, Paul. That they're wanting to replace it. So my question is, did war erupt before they could come up with... And this is probably irrelevant, but it is interesting. I think Battlefield makes you ask these questions. Did the... It doesn't look like an Abrams, question. Exactly.
It doesn't. It looks familiar, though.
Maybe it's the
it looks
successor.
Like something I've seen.
I think with what words?
Because
I think
even though the best tank in the world it's either the most modern German Leopard tank, I think, or it's the Challenger 2 British tank.
You know,
one of those.
It's funny you bring that up. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think it's one of those. Well, yeah, you're fine.
The Leopard literally just looks like a meaner cousin to the Abrams in a lot of ways.
Right, yeah.
For obvious reasons.
How do you improve upon perfection? Well, you stick more armor on it.
You make it extra perfect, yeah. You just coat it. What were you about to say a minute ago, Ardent? We were talking about armor. We were talking about tanks and what happened. Were we able to...
Big boys. Okay, so I'm pretty sure, even though the game's not getting... a campaign, I'm pretty sure that won't let them stop from having some sort of subtle lore timeline build up through campaign or through multiplayer.
Yes.
So they'll be like, oh, this is what's happening throughout, this part of this match, and during this time, this is what's happening and why. Obviously, no story, but it'd be like, this is what's happening. They won't stop the story build up to 2142, but because that's what they want, obviously, because they're doing a 2042. So, I think we could still count in them still doing world building and story building, just not through campaign.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited. That's another thing I was going to bring up, and I'm probably not going to make a lot of sense as I say this, but I guess what I was going to say is I feel like Battlefield's multiplayer, there are times that, especially, I mean, in most matches, it feels like its own campaign, just without context. You have to include your own. And I don't know how to explain that other than saying that when I'm in a match and I'm moving with, say you're moving with an armored column, and you could go with that armored column of, let's just say, the successor to a bunch of Abrams tanks, working as these, what seems like contractors fighting on behalf of superpowers, right? And you're moving up with this armored column towards a fortified position, because they're still relevant enough to where they happen. Ground fortifications are always, they're going to be a thing. Physical placeholders. And you're moving up with this armored column. And say you look to your right and you see a group of Humvees, or again, successors too, and you decide you're going to move with them because they don't have enough support class troops with them. I know classes are kind of being done away with, but maybe you are specifically, or you and a few people are specifically armed with stuff, and there's free seats on those reconnaissance vehicles. You can kind of choose where you want to go, and if the maps, I mean, it's only natural that the maps evolve and they get bigger, etc., right? It just feels to me like every multiplayer match in its own way kind of becomes its own campaign. And I don't know how to explain. I know that's poorly explained.
Well, okay. That's basically what we do in Arma. That's what my group does in Arma, essentially, is make a campaign, like, have a contained story every op day. Sometimes it extends further than that. But we're basically turning a multiplayer experience into a story with 50 people. Obviously, Battlefield's going to have 128 people, and I could never imagine getting that many people in an Arma server. But same kind of thing.
Not yet.
I don't think our server can't take it. It just ain't going to happen.
I'm going to keep being optimistic and saying not yet because that's fun to picture. So you get it, though. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I get it. I know what you're going on about.
I'm glad because I explained that as best as I could. I feel satisfied after I play a match of Battlefield. Like, no matter what I'm getting to use, no matter what the game is. And I started getting into 5 recently, and I get why it's lacking, but then I also really do understand why. I like the need for it. I think 5 could have been handled better. I think that the release was too soon. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of us would agree with that could have made 5's launch better. But it wasn't. 1 was different enough that it's not super comparable to 5. And they really upped, without being direct about it, I feel like they really upped kind of the fantasy-esque feel to Battlefield 1's. There was almost a majesty behind the large-scale conflicts in Battlefield 1. And I think, and it was beautiful. I mean, we've all kind of, Vin, I think, has said it more than any of us, how, aesthetically pleasing the game is just to look at.
It's a 2016 game that still looks gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Like, I cannot wait until I somehow get my hands on a new card, or even if it's the next generation. I want to get an 80 Ti of some generation, but I might have to sacrifice a goat to an unseen god to get that. But I'm still patient. I'm still patient, and I'm still excited, but I can't wait to see what these games look like on something newer than the 1080 Ti I have. I'm still lucky to have it, though, and most games hold up pretty well on it. I don't know, guys. I'm really pumped for it. I'm really excited to see what happens, and it's like I have gotten better over the years. I've tried to not let hype rule how I feel and actually see things. Like, this is mainly a graphical promotion of what the engine can do on a good PC.
But if Battlefield's anything, this shit is totally what's actually going to happen in a game, just knowing how chaotic it is.
I'll be happy with that. I mean, you got all the vehicles. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say it may be in like engine footage that's pre-rendered, but as we all know, most of the time whenever a Frostbite engine game shows off a pre-rendered in-game trailer, it looks that good in gameplay too.
Yes.
So,
Battlefront 2, for example. Battlefront 2, the trailers hold up to the gameplay. For example, look at the Battle of Geonosis. The Battle of Geonosis, literally, you can translate it from gameplay to trailer or trailer to gameplay. It's that good.
We need to go back and play that again if we can at some point.
I have it reinstalled, so.
Attaboy.
Pretty awesome.
Ardent's the reason that I re-downloaded a lot of games lately.
I love Battlefront 2. It's so good.
I still have it downloaded.
I would argue
we can do that if you want.
Yeah, we should do that sometime soon, I think. I was going to say, for this game, I mean, this is one game. This game and Infinite are 2 games I kind of want to go all out with. And I don't know how else to say that other than, like, Infinite comes out, I'm going to keep up the tradition. I'm going to get the collector's edition if it's offered, if it's available.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to drop money on it.
It's worth it. I don't regret getting
Might as well, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been so long since the last major Halo release, and You know, there were things about 5 I didn't like, but that doesn't mean I don't think that the statue of Locke and John is not banging. Like, that thing is amazing. It's huge.
That's so well made. It's not even funny.
It is. They had a lot of defects with poor Locke's battle rifle was bent. A lot of people got a bent battle rifle, me included. But other than that, it's phenomenal. But yeah, no.
And was yours? Did you get that statue, Ben? For sure.
Yeah.
Was your battle rifle bent?
That reminds me, with the bent battle rifle Euclid, I remember when I got the new Jagarotami Elite, the Infinite.
Yeah,
boss.
mine is bent too.
I'm so jealous.
His energy sword is bent.
I can still get my hands on that, though, I'm pretty sure.
Look at this. Look how bent that is, dude. Oh,
I actually had to set...
Oh no.
I had to set my Warlord's sword under a book, and it actually straightened it out. Look at that.
That ghost looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, like, my love of the Battlefield 1, I can't help but keep bringing it up. This is like, if I could be cavalry in Halo Infinite, this is what I would be.
Basically, yeah, there you go.
If the swords, I would need like a...
Ghost looks so good, damn.
I know. I was really... I'm not going to say surprised, but I have low expectations, and that's why I don't get disappointed. But if you always have low expectations, though, I think every now and then you owe it to yourself to take a risk and get a little hyped up. Because it's a fun feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's not that. I think it's not that big of a risk to get hyped with the boys too, because especially if it's a game you know you're gonna enjoy.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited for it. I mean, like, there's so many elements of this game that are going to be very, not necessarily rock paper scissory, but like, for example, say somebody isn't an alligator, you know what I mean, and that is a very dangerous, highly maneuverable, assault helicopter. It's more of a specialized assault helicopter, is probably why we don't see it so much. But, you know, that thing obviously has a lot more arm in it than a Little Bird. Paul probably knows its true designation. But a Little Bird is still capable of taking that thing out of the sky. So that's what I love about modern shooters, is that weaponry is so...
versatile.
It's much more... It's like much more of a balance to it, to where just because they have the bigger piece of weaponry, but you can still smoke their ass out of the sky.
It's what kind of like about the more recent Battlefields, because in Battlefield 4 you couldn't do shit with small arms fire to like an MRAP or even a Jeep, but even in Battlefield 1, even if it's like a tiny sliver, like you could still chip away at some vehicles with armor. That's a distraction. So I kind of hope they keep that, because maybe I want to start pelting out a Little Bird flying over me in 2042. Even I'm not going to destroy it, but if it means I'm going to get someone's attention, I'll do it.
For real, no. I mean, in concentrated fire, it's hard to get a group of 20 or more people to shoot at one thing, but I've seen it's happened before. I remember I was playing Battlefield 1 the other day, and it was, I don't remember what day it was. I wasn't feeling too good, so I just got online and tried to get in a conquest match that would allow me to have a horse. Well, I got in a horse, and, I was having a pretty good game, a lot of guerrilla warfare tactics, and this attack plane was shredding our team in half, but everybody was ignoring it. And I was trying to convince people to all shoot at it at once. And by the end of the game, I had a few people that were in my squad that were helping me chat, and they were saying, everybody get ready. And I'm not even kidding. I had nearly 30 people. Tracers were flying from all directions on Sinai Desert, and this thing flew directly over us. And then all of a sudden, you saw like 15 LMGs just blaring up at this thing. And it caught on fire, and it fell to the ground. I was like, see? But people are like, oh, I can't kill it. Well, 30 of you could. And that's a Battlefield thing. I love that. It's so good. Battlefield 0042 Rome. Okay, that needs to be pulled on screen. Because let's be real, that's amazing. Oh my god. I appreciate this.
So I also just to continue to hype myself up, I started playing Battlefield 4 as we were talking, and I just ranked up to level 100, so I now have the bipod knife.
Nice. Wasn't that a really sought after item for a long time? It was like the subject of videos and everything.
Yeah, because it was a Battlefield Friends thing.
Yeah.
So it looks like
good old days.
It looks like Battlefield's going back to the occasional DLC system.
Okay.
Because apparently there is a year one pass. which makes sense.
No, they're doing battle passes, dude. They're doing seasons like Destiny does. There'll be a free battle pass and a paid battle pass, and they're doing every 3 months is a new season. That's what the year 1 pass is.
Okay.
So I'm guessing the year 1
battle
passes
passes
gives you a year 1. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you get the whole
Okay.
I don't have too much problems with season passes as long as as long as the game is good in itself and has enough content by itself without it.
Well, yeah, and
which is the problem with Destiny is that Destiny has a season pass, and it just if you don't have the season pass and you go with the free pass, you don't get very much out of it.
You know, it's while you mentioned that, Arden, I want to bring it up. I remember how hard it was when season passes first started becoming a thing with a lot of AAA titles, and how distasteful it was to a lot of us when it happened. But now that it's been a thing for a while, I'm not saying, oh, it's nothing new. It's more like I have more of an understanding on the fact that they're actively working to keep making things for games. So games are expansively bigger. One could argue, back in the day, because this is just bullshit. And at one point I thought this way, right? But I remember years ago, you could, if you wanted to buy expansions, you could buy it on disc. Well, things are digital now anyway, so that immediately changes everything. The games are more demanding, which requires better hardware and, more optimized software. You could also argue that, developers need more time to make these more intricate pieces of entertainment. So you could also argue that as well. I have no problem with a season pass as long as they are very, transparent about, hey, if you buy this one, no matter what we release, you got it. Or you buy this. But a lot of AAA games, not necessarily Battlefield, but a lot of AAA games throughout the years fail to be transparent about getting something. You'll buy a gold pass, but then there's a season pass, and they're two separate things. And a lot of times you have to do everything short of hacking a monitor within the development team's studio to find out what the difference is between those two passes. Like, I want the pass. If this is a game I'm going to play a lot of, I want the pass, and no matter what they release, I'm going to have it. And I can pre-download it, or I can have it. I don't want to later, because, I get that this stuff costs money, and they have to be paid. It's not...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just want transparency. Like, as long as they're transparent on, yeah, this package is pretty expensive, but, offer a collector's edition that also gives you a pass for everything they're going to release, period. And, so, yeah. I want that.
Okay, so this is back to the topic of the 2142 prelude shit.
Yes.
I'm looking through the Battlefield subreddit, and there's people talking, there's people pointing out small details. This shot where they're driving around up to the rocket, there's a small insignia there that says PAC, and that implies the existence of the Pan-Asian Coalition from 2142.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And some people are saying that the Super Tornado is a tease to the story of 2142, because remember, if 2142 has a weather-ravaged Earth,
yes,
like Europe is frozen over and shit like that. So
wow.
The chances are that after this game could be a 2143. That's what I'm thinking. I think they really want to do
that's pretty
2143.
likely because they're doing them in sets, right?
Yeah.
So you had Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 are kind of a 2-part thing where they share a lot of similarities because of the close time periods. I could see them doing something again like that where they release this game and then release a 2142 style game around that era.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Battlefield 4 kind of already set the stone, with the Titans and shit. Remember, do you remember that one map on Battlefield 4 where I think it was in Russia, and they had that Titan in the mountain that occasionally tested its boosters and flames would fly out of the mountain.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so that was they basically tested the Titan. So if Battlefield 4's final DLC wasn't sort of a tease or maybe an homage to the 2100 games,
yes,
then this kind of solidifies the fact that they're most likely going to go for a 2143 in the future. And people aren't really against that, because even since Battlefield 1, even before Battlefield 1 was released, people are like, we want a 2143, give us a 2143.
Yeah.
And look, Battlefield 4, they brought back carrier assault, so that's just kind of they're slowly pulling their dick out. It's going to be 2143.
What a way to phrase it. What a way to phrase it. You know?
I like it. I appreciate that, Arden.
They're really pulling out their Titan.
They're slowly pulling out their cock and balls.
Let's just become vagrants immediately right now, all of
The
us.
left testicle is BF4. The right testicle is 2042, and the main erect penis is 2143. And we're slowly getting to the erect penis.
And I'm just gonna say, you only have yourself to blame. You added to it, okay?
Wait a second. Did you hear what he said though? So he said that we're getting to the 2142 one, but he described that one as the penis.
No, I'm saying the 2143.
Okay.
No.
All right. Let's.
No.
Can we not?
Yeah. Let's
Can
call.
we simply not?
Now you guys get to see what some people's true thoughts are when they're excited about a game. For some reason, everybody gets too horny and needs to relax.
Arden's fucking thinking about penis.
I don't get.
Yeah, guys, that Battlefield trailer was great. You know what I could use though? Some cock.
Jesus.
Listen, it's not very often I get horny over a video game at 9 a.m. This is some fantastic stuff.
It's like noon here. It's like for Ardent though, any time of the day, it's like horny o'clock for Ardent. So back to the topic of video games and not that. Josh's face. He looks blitzed. No. So what is something you guys want the most from this game? This game, not 2143 if it happens, but this game. What's a few things you guys should just go down
Good
the table.
gunplay.
Yes.
Good gunplay.
Yeah.
One thing I do hope for is just like it's something that should be basic, but good support. We know Battlefield 5 didn't really get that good support. It had a very rocky launch from the start.
It was sad, yeah.
But remember that when Christmas came, there's that controversial Time to Kill update where they people weren't very happy about it. And then as soon as they cut off Battlefront 2 support, they cut off Battlefield 5 support, and Battlefield 5 barely got 2 years of actual support, and it died. That's after they barely got a DLC touch. Yeah. So Battlefield 5 didn't really get any help past the Pacific. Once the Pacific dropped, they just stopped.
That just made me. It was sad because I was still excited because Battlefield 1 was thus far for a lot of probably niche reasons was my favorite title, but I think just because I liked that era, I liked that they were brave enough to go to World War One.
I think you can consider BF1, even though BF1 came out almost 5 years ago. Shit, I was in high school when it came out.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a good minute. I think you could still consider it one of the newer generations of Battlefield, considering how new the gunplay was and how specific rules were. And
felt very experimental, and they worked hard to make guns that were good, but they were still kind of unstable. But every gun kind of had that. A lot of people made jokes that that World War One was World War II with crappy weapons, and it's like that's not. I get the joke, and it is funny. But it's really not the case. World War I was the death of a lot of things and the birth of a lot of things. It was a very weird time. People were training their whole life to be on mounted divisions of cavalry and fight with physical weapons and rifles. And then tanks were invented. And the tanks weren't a major part of the war. They were just kind of experimental. But it showed what was going to happen. There was not going to be... Because a lot of people don't realize in World War I... I've been on this big World War I kick lately, and it's thanks to the war stories of Battlefield 1. France and Germany had a stalemate trench war going all the way from the North Sea to Switzerland. Switzerland became a natural barrier because it's neutral, and they're like, no, we don't want a war with anybody. So they have a trench the whole way down, and that's what World War I is famous for, is trench warfare, stalemates, just, trench foot, and all the different horrible occasions. But they took every little niche thing and highlighted it in the game. Like, you want to ride a horse in a battle? Go for it. You want to be on a biplane with 4 other people? Go for it. When a biplane gets shot down, especially a bomber, it is so light compared to a modern plane, a modern fighter, that it will somewhat float to the ground after it gets shot down. And they took that detail into it.
Yeah. And they also kind of took it to where, like, when they crash into the ground, they sort of kind of just crumple and then just sit there.
I
You know,
enjoyed that.
when a jet hits the ground, BF4, just explosions everybody. You know, when a fighter or a bomber just kind of
God
oh bless you.
bless my child.
Bless you.
When it falls out of the sky, just goes just okay.
Yeah, and like it just feels like they paid specific attention to every game's unique theater. Hardline suffered a little bit, and I would have been okay with Battlefield Hardline just being mainly a campaign. It was one of the few Battlefields that did have a full campaign, but like the campaign should have just been about being a cop on the street, if they wanted to do, because that's what they were pushing, was that it was cops and robbers.
I wouldn't have minded if basically Hardline's campaign was just a Miami '80s cop duo story.
Yes.
I would have been happy with it. If they literally just made it Bad Boys the story, I would have been happy.
It would have done better, I think, actually. If
there's another thing I want from this game, I know this is very far-fetched and very far in the future, but I know the whole behemoth system in BF1 was pretty controversial. You know, a lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't like it. But I do kind of hope with how this game looks like it's going in terms of world building, within maybe the last couple of DLCs, maybe like the second to last one or the last one, they kind of bring it back to bring the behemoth system back, because you know how Battlefield 4 experimented with 2140 games with that kind of stuff. I kind of hope that they bring back more like a modern behemoth system.
Oh yeah,
maybe like you know, it's I don't know, maybe like a destroyer on like, you know, in Korea.
Well, like directly controlling, even if it's more than one player, directly controlling a powerful piece of machinery. You know, I think the reason that was so highlighted in Battlefield 1, not that it's impossible for a future title, especially 2143. I feel like there would be a resurgence, because another reason that Battlefield 1, though it is... I'm not trying to talk badly about either World War. Obviously, they were both awful. But it's like in the scope of making it into a game, the reason that Battlefield 1, I think, had the majesty... You guys jackasses. I see what you're sitting in the chat. I think because the populations of all the major powers in the world were booming. I mean, Germany's population was enormous around that time. You know, everybody was already in the industrial age, and everything was really, really booming. America was the top industrial power for a lot of fairly obvious reasons. You know, they're huge, first of all, the natural resources. You know, you had like 50 years of peace. There was no major war. The last major war was between Russia and Turkey, also known as the Ottoman Empire. And then you had nothing. But then, you know, Germany and Austria-Hungary, those both were empires. And you had Kaiser Wilhelm. I mean, like, the history behind it, I think, gives it a lot more soul, too. But the reason behemoths were a thing is because modern munitions were not evolved to the point that they would render large pieces of weaponry, what's the word I'm looking for? Inadequate or obsolete.
Static.
Thank you. Yes. They wouldn't render them static yet. So if you used, you know, basically war blimps of varying sizes, they were amazing air support. Parachutes were in their infancy. All those blimps you see in the campaign and multiplayer matches, there was a person in a basket under those blimps spotting for their allies. So if that blimp got shot down, that guy was dead. You know, because, you know, parachutes were in their infancy. So it was just a very unique time for that. But I think that's the main reason. There were just so many people involved in World War One, because the populations were huge. 50 years of no major war in Europe, and let alone the world. You know, populations were booming, and countries were very, very... It was like, I hate to say this because it was a very bad thing, but all the major powers in the world were uniquely in tune with their ability to get masses and masses of men, and in some cases women and young people, to die for them. And so that's why I think that's why BF1 succeeded so well. It wasn't even the niche things I liked. It succeeded so well because, one, it was bold enough to go to World War One, and number two, it did capture the majesty and, you know, almost the romantic horror, the undertone of horror behind such a large-scale conflict that ended almost every empire left in the world. So that's why I've been on this kick, though, because I think games are the reason I love history so much. They get me to give a shit. Like, when I was a kid, if it was boring, I didn't pay attention to it. But then I played Call of Duty Finest Hour when I was in school. I was younger, you know. I was actually young then. And I remember what got me into the actual the actual history was a pretty historically inaccurate Russian campaign, but it still got me interested in how the Russians started off World War II losing and then ended stampeding the Third Reich. You know, I wanted to know how. I wanted to know what happened before, and then I started caring about the stuff that kid me would have thought was boring. And Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Medal of Honor, when it was relevant, all those games got me to give a shit about history, to the point where I was going to become a history professor. So games have that power. They have the power to get you to want to learn. But I've been on a tirade, so now you guys need to talk. I'm sorry.
I was actually I was gonna bring out out of curiosity, I decided to look up more on Frontlines Field of War and compare it to what we already know about this game. There's a lot of similarities to this, because you know how basically we already said that there's something about, you know, the remaining superpowers taking place during 2042.
Yeah.
Frontlines Field of War, its story has the Coalition, which is basically the UN and a bunch of other countries,
yes,
versus the Red Star Alliance, which is China and Russia.
Oh yeah, all the bad guys.
So all the typical not American bad guys.
Every country using an AK in their arsenal.
Basically, and I already talked about how Frontlines 304 already had a version of the KA-50 helicopter for the Red Star.
Yes,
that isn't really that kind of helicopter doesn't get much media attention anywhere, really. So, Frontlines 304, it takes place during 2024, and it's during a global energy crisis, right?
Yeah.
And there's a worldwide influenza outbreak, but that doesn't really have a place in the story. They don't really talk about it much. And then you compare it to the story of 2142 and what's being teased in 2042 is that obviously superpowers are falling and there's new coalitions being formed, like the Pan-Asian coalitions being made, and there's going to be formations of new factions. And it looks like they're like with a climate crisis, which is apparently happening, that can imply the push of a fuel crisis, you know, and now you're going to have several superpowers in the future fighting over land and oil and all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of feels like I don't know, I find the parallels between two postmodern war conflicts, one from 2007, 2008, and then one coming out this year. Is just, the parallels are they're there, and it's really interesting. Spooky, because
kind of
spooky. Yeah, I dare I say that maybe there are ideas from Frontlines Field of War that
probably
were
probably good ideas.
Because the Chaos Studios was shut down not long after Field of War came out, which is kind of disappointing because I would have loved to see.
It's a sad story. I actually really enjoyed. I actually really enjoyed Field of War, but there's almost this weird melancholic feeling behind being a part of a very small minority of people that enjoys it because you feel like it deserves more. I understand why it underperformed, which made me further confused. I was further confused by why I liked it so much because of that. I was like, why? Well, I thought that you could tell that there was some heart and soul put into the game.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the story, and I mean the story wasn't wasn't groundbreaking for its time, and plus I had to compete with fucking Halo 3 and all that, so it wasn't gonna do much. Like I said, I think since it felt like a spiritual successor to Battlefield 2, some people kind of saw it like that, and like, wow, this is pretty cool, and obviously, you know, it wasn't popular, but considering how, you know, even though it's a niche game, how big the demand for a sequel to this game was, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they took the ideas from Frontlines Field of War and implanted those concepts into 2042, sort of, just to kind of push the story narrative along to the 2140 series.
Right.
You know? And it just fits. And, like, I guess, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, maybe they're, since it's DICE LA that's making the game right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they got Chaos Studios devs to help, you know?
Well, for sure. And what if they already did? What if we don't know? What if they're at least in communication with him? Because, you know, there were a lot of bold ideas in that game that I would have loved to see kind of explode on the media. I think that was the most tragic. You guys ever watch the YouTube channel Gamers? He covers like the rise and fall.
I haven't.
Okay, it's a good channel. I'll send you guys a link today at some point. But basically, this channel, people on this channel, they basically cover the rise and fall of different series. Like they did a rise and fall of Stalker, so you know I've seen that one. They did the troubled history of Alan Wake. They've covered.
I've seen that video.
Different titles for games that had like cult followings to kind of get them out there and talk about what happened with the development team. And I think they did one for Frontline's Fuel of War, but I haven't seen it yet. So, but, you know, because it did have a troubled development and a troubled history, but then the soundtrack was, you saw what they were trying to realize with it, and that's the biggest thing about games media that I love, is seeing, it's almost its own echelon of history. Can you imagine a history book that only talked about games and game development? Could you imagine how cool that would be?
Well, I feel like in the future that probably isn't that small of a possibility, because as you know, every year video games are becoming bigger and bigger in pop culture, and they're being more and more closely related to actual fictional world situations.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine when it comes to either pop culture courses or just like video game history courses, it goes from like how maybe in the early 2000s I decided to make post-modern, you know, fictional stories, to making post-fictional or post-modern fictional stories that are very much based on the events that are happening currently and how it influences the industry more and more and more. Which is what is kind of scary about Frontline's Fuel of War, because those who don't know, the story in Frontline's Fuel of War has a tendency to have low-yield nukes thrown at you in the game. There's specifically a section in the game where there's an armored column pushing forward toward Russia, and now you have Russia throwing low-yield nuclear bombs at you. So, you know... Yeah. And they have the whole idea, don't get out of your tanks because the outside is radiated, even though that's not how it works. But you know what? Yeah. Fuck me, I didn't care. I still think it was cool as shit.
Yeah, it was.
But if you think about it now, the whole idea of a third world war with low-yield tactical nukes being tossed around on the battlefield for fun is not that small of a possibility. And
a few people didn't keep the trigger finger down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And dare I say, maybe low-yield tactical nukes could be a dynamic environment moment in 2142 in the future. You know, I'm just saying. That's not a possibility when you have shit like this happening, especially when you have a very ravaged world in the future for for that game. So I'm not ruling out. I'm just saying, like I said, Fuel of War has to have some sort of like idea for 2042, and I'm not ruling out the idea of nukes being thrown around in the future.
Things are inspired by other things. Games are developed with the idea from other things. We all know for a fact, because there's been some stink lately on the internet with people. Everybody has to be someone's hero, even if they're actually being a villain by being that hero. What I mean is, like, calling out the jokes about the monitor and the ring from like that new Ark DLC or whatever that was released, and everybody was getting pissy. Well, the truth is, we all know that Halo was inspired by different games and different movies, and mostly movies in pop culture, like Alien. Like, the drop shit is obviously, it looks like a precursor to the Pelican. But nobody's disputing that. We're not saying it to be, it's whatever. I mean, I tried playing Ark. I find it boring. I didn't like it. I wish I didn't buy it, to be honest with you. I think it's a boring game. And it's not a game that I actually have time to divulge in. Like, what grindy games we already play, that's what I have time for, period. But, you know, people, there's this weird... That's another thing that's weird in media, is, like, if you don't stay on your own path and talking about the good and the things you enjoy, it can be really easy to get, you know, to turn your attention and get stuck on the negative stuff where everybody is arguing about the what-ifs and arguing about the original inspiration. And I always found that part of, like, video games media really weird is that people are hyper aggressive about their opinions and talking about that stuff like it's fact. It's like they're almost launching their own media war, which leads to slander and leads to other things. So people are obviously very passionate about games, but that's like when you get yelled at by a significant other and they're like, I'm not being mean, I'm just passionate. It's like, no, you're crazy. Like, so it's the same principle. It's like, I'm just raising my voice because I'm passionate. I think I was talking I think it was Bill Burr. Speaking of Bill Burr earlier, Vin, I think he did something in like a special where he was talking about somebody saying, I'm passionate. He goes, you're not passionate. Oh, yeah. Like, you're not passionate. It's like, you were crazy. You were crazy. Like, you need to stop yelling. Fun fact, this like tank transport, like, you know, this winter like Siberian themed transport that we see on the ice lake scene in the trailer, it looks like a World War II Hetzer, like an anti-tank gun Hetzer from Germany, but on ice. Hetzer's on ice,
but on ice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really excited about this game, because I know we're going to get a lot of obviously modern shit we're familiar with, but I am so excited for what futuristic vehicles and weapons they might push into this game.
Oh yeah,
because it's just new toys. It's new toys to play with. Because I mean, I'm telling you now, once when Final Assault for BF4 came out, everybody went for the hovering tank. I'm not even kidding. Like, everybody fought over that shit. People will start try to team kill you in hardcore for that tank.
Oh yeah.
So I can only imagine all the crazy shit they might add into this game later, and it's just fun. I love new toys to play with, and because Infinite is still far out, and we don't have any idea for when they're going to start flighting for that. I want my hands on something fresh, something near futuristic like, because
oh yeah,
I've been playing older games for a long time now, because there's just not very many games out there right now that I'm interested in.
Agreed.
In terms of shooters. So I need to wrap my hand around something fresh, like, one thing I do hope is that I hope 2042 doesn't have the same kind of launch state BF4 had, because if you remember BF4's launch, it was not pretty. It was very, very rough.
It was very bad.
Before its golden age, like, it was just, that was not a good release.
BF4 launch was a fucking disaster. I got it on the Xbox 360 a couple days after it came out. It was an actual nightmare.
Yeah,
it was a dumpster fire.
Which says a lot about how it improved and how it had a really good redemption arc in itself. The game.
There's a lot of games that have had a really good redemption arc, which has unfortunately become a trend in the modern industry.
It's because of the rush development. I'm sorry, but it's because publishers are pushing people to make magic happen poof. Like, magic don't exist. We literally have to sit and perfect the way this rifle works, because if it doesn't, it's going to be stupid. It's going to be rubber banding all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we've seen that when games get the time they need to, like, to cook and be made, they're good, well-made games. This has been seen with the MCC. This has been seen with Battlefront 2. This has been seen with Destiny, arguably. That's why I said
Destiny
arguably.
Had its redemption arc and then decided to become the villain.
That's why I said arguably, specifically for that one.
Oh
wow. So, Battlefield 4 had its redemption, and I'd argue Battlefield 1 was pretty good from the start.
Yeah.
So,
Battlefield
1, it didn't have any outstanding launch issues.
No, and it was pretty calm throughout the whole. It was a smooth ride throughout the whole process, and it still is, sort of, when you don't consider the hackers. I will hope that. I think I would argue that ever since Battlefield 1, people are like, okay, let's go back to a modern Battlefield. I know DICE has known that for a while, and I know it's been. Well, Battlefield 5 came out in 2017, right? 2018. Josh, when did it come out? 2018?
Sometime in 2018, I think.
I love it.
Okay.
Arden's like, hey, smart, quiet guy. When did it come out? Go. Jesus.
I thought it came out in 2019.
No, I know it didn't come out in 2019. I know, okay. So
I don't have a grasp on the passage of time anymore.
Me neither.
that's fair. You're in Missouri.
Jesus.
So
Yeah, it came out in 2018.
2018. Okay, so it's when this game comes out from Battlefield 5. That's been over the whole 3 years. 3 years is kind of it's kind of on average for a game to be developed. From when one game's released. The next comes out 3 or 4 years after. I would say hopefully it's been in development since Battlefield 5 came out, or after it came out, because they knew Battlefield 5 wasn't going to succeed. And I was hoping, with the very unfortunate and unfair end of support for Battlefront 2, and they just whipped the team away from that game, I hope with a team that big that this game gets the proper support and launch that it needs. Because if they're going to hype up a modern Battlefield like this, they need to have a good launch. Because look, DICE has had a trend with making good games. Like Battlefront 2, it started really shitty, but it was still
3 months after launch.
Yeah. Well, Battlefront 2 had a really shitty start because of that whole controversy, but it was still a well-made game from its foundation. Battlefield 1 was good. Battlefield 5, it's niche. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't really like it that much, but other people liked it.
Yeah, I wasn't as big a fan of it either. I think that sometimes you have to take off your rose-tinted glasses and realize that you've played a lot of World War II shooters.
Yeah.
And there were parts of it that I liked, but dear God, it is hard for me to enjoy it compared to 1. I do still try to play it, and I've gotten better. I enjoy sniping more in Battlefield 5 compared to 1, but that's like a little thing. Other than that, though, it's hard to get into. The hackers are worse than in 1. I mean, there's more of them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, why?
5 doesn't have this. 5 doesn't have the support Battlefield 1 has. And I would say, when you consider DICE's lineup of Battlefield games, you have most recently 3, 4, 1, 5. 5 is like really the only bad Battlefield game they kind of had, and I would argue maybe it's a little unfair for them to get the shit that they got. Well, I wouldn't say it's unfair. I'd say some of it, like, they get a lot of heavy shit for it.
Yeah. Even
though it's only one game that kind of fucked up, and they're clearly going back to getting what people want. They're going back to the one people want modern Battlefield back. They want 2143, and this is kind of their answer to it. And they're like, okay, well, this is what they want. And sure, they'll give it to them, and I'm hoping that it just comes off well, because one game was fucked. Yeah, it wasn't that great of a game.
Yeah,
but
you didn't like 1 that much?
Shut up. I love 1.
No,
I would just hope that after one game, they're like, okay, we can't fuck this up, because we already kind of shat the bed with Battlefront 2's not even launch. They shat the bed before launch.
Yeah.
And they did not have a good run with Battlefield 5, so this is kind of their ticket back into good graces with the people, because people love 3, people love 4, people love 1. They gotta hit it with this, so they fall back in people's
the good graces, like you said.
Good graces, yeah.
I was curious, actually. I'm not saying that Ardent and Paul, I'm not saying you're not capable of art, because you are. But for our 2 career, artists in the group, I'm really curious what Josh and Vin. I'm really curious what your all's opinion is on. We obviously know, like you said, Josh, this is a pre-render scene to kind of show off what it's capable of. And it is capable of this in-game. We know that from previous Battlefields, and we've seen things happen in-game where it's like, this could have been a trailer. But how do you guys feel about how they're promoting it with this very cryptic... Again, it has this almost this undertone of horror that this is like, we're on this like event horizon of World War III, but it's more of like a doomsday event, is what the game feels like it's building up to.
I like it. I love the whole cryptic thing. I feel like the whole cryptic thing has always been Battlefield's... specialty when it comes to campaigning, because you look at the Final Assault DLC in Battlefield 4. Remember getting the bow in BF4 before
I
don't.
I never got it.
I fortunately
tried so desperately, and I never got it.
I fortunately got it before they threw it into the extra DLC. Yeah, that shit was fun. I loved seeing people do that. You had to cooperate with the enemies, on the team. There had to be a mixture of enemies and teams.
So
And
Don't you still have to do that to get it? Or did
no,
they give it?
when they released the free DLC maps after BF4 official support has ended, they just decided they put a box with a bow in the middle of one of the maps. And you just go to it and you can pick it up. But this was like a year after the bow came out, so you can still get it. Just you don't have to do the whole code thing anymore.
I didn't know that. I
But
need to
that
go
was-
do that.
I loved it. It
Give me a minute.
was
So back to Josh and Vin. How do you guys feel about how they've done with the Frostbite engine? Do you see improvements from, like, for example, 1? Do you see improvements from where we're coming from 5 to this game? Do you think this game is still going to have that? Have you guys ever noticed with every promotion of a Battlefield game, they always have 2 things. They always have that hot to cold look in the artwork with the promotional images, and they have all the sparks on screen. I mean, do you feel like we're always going to have that with Battlefield games as long as it works? And another question I was asking is, like, do you feel like this trailer, do you think it's trying to ride on the whole cryptic, mysterious vibe to it with the war? Or, like, how do you feel about how they're doing their promotional campaign for the game? Are you happy with it? We
I
haven't
am.
seen much, but...
Yeah, I really like what they did. So the trailer is probably one of the better trailers for any shooter I've seen. Like, the Battlefield 1 trailer was really awesome, the initial one. But I really, I don't know, the team that put together the trailer here did a really, really good job. So, especially
Fantastic job.
yeah, especially compared to the leaked trailer, because they didn't show that. The leaked trailer they opted not to show, and the leaked trailer was not as good as this one. So
I bet you with that leaked trailer, they leaked it to get people to believe this is
yeah,
the trailer, and then they showed this one. It's like, I got you fuckers.
that may have been done on purpose. You never know. So because the leaked trailer was not as good.
Leaking things prior to reveal tends to be a primary marketing thing for some games. Especially when you say,
Actually, sorry, dude.
no, go ahead.
Just gonna say, I know that we talked about it a lot already, but I really did like the fact that they wanted to set this apart. It seems from like your traditional first-person shooter trailer by going full into this is Battlefield by showing multiple only in Battlefield moments, but cinematic scripted looks at how those would look if they were not gameplay moments. I really enjoyed seeing all that in the trailer. So
Yeah, I was going to say, I really enjoyed this scene here that I got it stuck on the stream. I really enjoy this kind of, I get like these almost Las Vegas vibes from this city. But, like, have you noticed, like, there are dunes of sand that have been pushed above ground level on a lot of these buildings? So it seems like some kind of natural disaster or a weapon that would enact one of those, would engage or activate one of those natural disasters, has pushed dunes of sand. And it makes the world feel post-apocalyptic because there are weapons, potentially, that are triggering these anomalous events, this unnatural control of weather. And it's like,
yeah,
that's
You know
terrifying.
what that reminds me of?
What?
Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When
I didn't even think about that.
when you had Dubai basically abandoned and ravaged, and you had the giant dunes of sand up in the city. That's what it reminds me of. The only difference here is that there's actually lights in the city, and Dubai is completely fucking destroyed.
Yes.
in Spec Ops. And another thing, if you notice, there's with the trend, there's a lot of maps seen in this trailer that have blue as a primary color, and this map seems more like a vibrant purple, yellow, red, warm color. And that goes in with what you said earlier about how Battlefield likes to market its cold and hot classic color logo stuff. And so I think it's that's a nice,
Yeah, for sure.
I guess it's a nice detail to add in. There's hot, there's cold, and it kind of fits in with the whole red and blue that they always like to market in their covers and such.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Like, with any Battlefield, they've kind of had that. I think 4 set that bar pretty high as well, but they didn't leave it since 4. They've kind of stuck with it. So that's like their theme, is the hot and cold look, and it's recognizable enough to where I say that every one of you is like, oh yeah, Like you have the soldier, you have armor in the background, you have infantry, you have sparks flying, rounds going off. But then on one part of the screen, it's a colder blue. The other part of the stream, it's like an orange. It feels warmer. So it's like
That was a trend that started with BF3, right?
I think
The
so.
hot cold
Actually.
thing. Yeah, because I remember Battlefield 2's cover was more like a desert color.
Yeah, but the people really liked it. I think that actually gave it more allure too, at least in the promotional theater of the games.
I think that's what really kicked Battlefield into gear. You didn't really have another game that showed itself off in a hot, cold cover like that. It catches your eye. You're like, wow, this game looks pretty cool. Then you hear the Battlefield 3 thing, and you don't hear many games with a synthesized version of a classic World War II game you've played.
Yeah, no,
So when you have an ear rapey theme like that, it feels fucking cool.
Well, you're right though, and Battlefield is also known for paying homage to the titles before, and especially right before. Like I was recently, I haven't been making as many videos and stuff, but it's not like I did it. I just needed a break because you get burnt out every now and then, and you want to just play games and not have a camera on. And I was playing through all the war stories of 1 and 2. I played through 1, enjoyed the music, enjoyed the symphony behind it because it had a great soundtrack. I loved 1's soundtrack. It was tragically beautiful. And then Battlefield 5 had a hint of that, but there are different parts of the game where you can find record players, like vinyl record players and stuff. But back then they were more popularized, and I had like the big megaphone type horn that would amplify the music. And I found one when I was playing the French colonial campaign. And you were playing, and there's a part where you can choose to all-out assault this like German outpost before you take this castle behind enemy lines as the French colonials, and you can either take out the camp silently, which is pretty difficult in its own regard, or you can do it loud. But there's a part in that game where you find this record player, and it's playing this updated version of Battlefield 1's soundtrack. So they pay homage. And at the beginning of Battlefield 5's War Stories, it shows that scene with the American and the German soldier aiming their guns at each other, and they both load their rifle. And that was... So they're paying homage to the game before, and not enough games do it that way. I really like how they do it. So when I heard that theme, as soon as I beat that war story and got all the collectibles, because I was trying to get all the bonus objectives, as soon as I got through that mission, I immediately started Battlefield 1 again. It made me want to play the older game again because of the homage.
Battlefield 1's soundtrack is fantastic. Sometimes there's been times where when I still played it on Xbox, there's times where I would load up the game and just leave it on the menu because I loved the music.
Oh yeah.
I never really did the same thing with Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5's music, for the most part, feels too eerie, too... I don't know. It just does. There's nothing about it.
It doesn't capture me like 1's did.
Yeah, it's just kind of there.
Well, it's like the period of time was closer to... How do I put this in perspective that doesn't reveal how ignorant I really am? How do I say this? Like, Battlefield 1 was around the time of... there were still several empires. The Russian Empire, the German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the French Empire, the Ottoman Empire. There were empires all across the world. So with that imperial warfare period wasn't really dead quite yet, but all the empires were starting to crumble. Tsar Nicholas was losing the power from his people. The Soviet Union, or the precursor of it, was about to be born with the Red Army. The Ottoman Empire had resisted modernization for a long time, so they were powerful, but because they resisted industrialization and relied on old methods, they were crumbling. Germany was really powerful, but it's like a popular theme that Germany fights the whole world at once and wonders why they lose. So that happens.
What did we do wrong?
We were supposed to beat everybody. You fought the world, dude. We have states bigger than you. Come on. But they're
just bigger than Germany.
Yeah. But all jokes aside, it was a more romantic period, because it's not just, people don't realize that really, there's a principle of, there are hints of imperialism, slight shards of medieval feeling and feudal feeling to the older empires of the world long past now. And I think that's why the soundtrack was so much more powerful than Five's, was because it captured that imperial romantic period really, really well. Plus the scope and scale of the war, I mean, it dwarfs most wars. It was horrible just as much as it was memorable. So
Yeah.
But as far as this game goes, I feel like we're actually going to kind of have a return to that feeling because the scope and the scale, it feels like the world is involved again.
It's like the beginning of a world's collapse.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, so you're seeing, maybe that's part of the reason we're seeing the alligators in this trailer is because it's all hands on deck. So even specialist choppers are being used for more general, like what you would normally see your modern equivalent of Hind helicopters in Eastern European states used. Alligators are getting used because that's how much, how much resources are intensively needed in this global conflict.
Maybe that if they go for more of another emphasis on water combat like they did in 1 and 5, maybe there could be an implication where if they bring in maybe naval support, there's the deployment of railguns on these ships because that's a real thing right now, and there could be right now. I mean, obviously they wouldn't disclose it because why would they? But there's probably a destroyer or two out right now with actual official railguns as their prime weapons, and maybe
unofficial railguns. Yes,
unofficial. Yeah, people know they're out there. Just they wouldn't say it because why would they?
They wouldn't directly advertise it.
Yeah. So for all we know, maybe if they have more water combat in this and they have naval support, the idea of them having railgun support on a destroyer is completely valid.
You know what I would like?
That would make me happy.
It's incredibly niche and won't happen, but it'd be hilarious. I could just imagine our crew all on a submarine, and maybe they've intensified the size of the map to where there are large bodies of water, and we could literally sing like Sean Connery in The Hunt for Red October while manning our railguns and getting ready. You bugging out, Paul?
I will go eat some lunch, and I might be back, depending on whether or not you guys are still here.
This is a good time to call it quits with the recording, I think.
Yeah.
I think we
got
everything and then some.
See y'all later.
See you, Paul. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for what we see. Is there anything else you guys want to say? It was a short trailer, but we always go all out with what our thoughts are for the game. We still don't know a lot.
5 minutes. That was 5 minutes.
Yeah, and we've been recording for an hour and 42 minutes almost.
Right, I'll cut it right here then.
Yeah, we'll cut it. We're excited for the next Battlefield, but there's just not enough. If we had a 10-minute trailer, it would be a 4-hour stream or something. I hope not. Dear God. No, I'm excited for what we see, but it's just too early. I think it's going to be a bigger tribute for the Battlefield 4 fans than before. I think it's really going to be a nice return to pace for them. So really, that's pretty much it. Just me and the Good Feelz talking about what we want, and we'll be covering the reveal for Infinite. Hopefully we see something pretty good then, and that should be up on the channel again soon. So
I will try to be here in any way I can, because I know I'll be in Texas on Sunday when it happens.
You have to be here. You can't.
But I will at least try to join the call.
Don't betray us.
Because I want to be here.
Josh has already stated officially, he said this with his own words, so you know it's true, that you have to be ousted from the group if you're not here with us on that time.
Too true.
I have to be ousted. No one can remove me. No one has the power to remove me from this group anymore.
That's true. We'll just have to create a new group.
So. Ardent is the talkative tumor of the Good Feelz. He ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I can't leave you. You love me too much.
We do love you. And I love Battlefield, so I'm excited for what we hear in the future, even if I'm awful at the game.
I know this group was put together because we have them all have a mutual love for Halo, but it's nice talking about another franchise like Battlefield together because it's refreshing.
Yeah,
and I'm just excited to play something I'm familiar with that's new. Playing a lot of 4. I've been playing a lot of 1, and they're fun and I love them, but they're not fresh. And I've been playing a lot of MCC. I've been playing the occasional Halo 5, and they're fun, but they're not fresh.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's actually the best. I wish me and Paul thought about that earlier. That's the best way you could describe it is that's why you should take part in games when they're new. Even if, you're like, oh, well, I want to see if it's good. That's why I feel like it's worth taking the risk to jump on board. Not necessarily the hype, but the community, to be involved with the community and be involved with the game when it's just new, because then you do get to experience that feeling. And then you make those memories that you otherwise wouldn't get, because if you're just going into Battlefield 1 now or Battlefield 4 now, like I missed out on the Battlefield 4, its rise after it had all its issues and its rise. I missed out on that and I regret it. And I feel it that I missed out on it. But I did not miss out on 1, and I missed out on 5. And I regret that. But then again, 5 isn't what 1 was, in my opinion. 5 needed a little. 5 deserved a lot more love. It could have been better.